What's up, Geminites? It's your boy GemMint. It's the end of 2019, so I'm going to count down my top 10 favorite reads from this year, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so this is not the top 10 best stories that came out this year. This is the top 10 favorite reads that I've read, so it could be old stuff that I've read for the first time, and I'm sticking to mostly collected editions here. I didn't want to do my single issues or new stuff for the year because I didn't read for the full year, so that's something we'll probably do next year. But in the meantime, let's count down the top 10 favorite reads for 2019. So I did 54 recent read videos this year, so this is a top 10 list based out of those collected editions that I reviewed. Coming in at number 10 was an independent book by Aftershock. This was Baby Teeth by Donny Cates. I had just started reading Donny Cates at the time with his Thanos run and then Venom and Cosmic Ghost Rider. I picked up Baby Teeth and I really loved this book. I thought it was an awesome story of this teenage girl who gets pregnant with the Antichrist. It was an amazing story and I look forward to continue to read it, and I thought it deserved top 10 on the list. Number 9 was the Star Wars Omnibus by Jason Aaron. I really enjoyed this. I love reading modern Star Wars stuff. I don't know if it was as good as Vader Down, but it tied into that and it had its own story. I recently got into Star Wars and started, watching all the movies, and it was cool to see the new Marvel canon stuff in one big collected edition. And plus, I love Jason Aaron as a writer. This was definitely one that deserved to be on the list, and it came in at number 9. Number 8, this is a Vertigo title, Transmetropolitan. I read the 3 Absolute editions, and it was one of those ones that I had some trouble getting through some parts of it, but when I was over and done with, I was happy that I read it. I fell in love with the character Spider Jerusalem and this crazy, exaggerated future that Warren Ellis created. This was one that I don't know if I would go through with a reread, but looking back, it was one of my favorites for 2019. Alright, so number 7 on the list. I did the Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus by Brian Michael Bendis as one of my top reads for 2018. In 2019, I read the complete, entire story, all of the 12 hardcovers. I even went ahead and read the Death of Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus and the Miles Morales Omnibus. And I definitely enjoyed reading this entire run for all the same reasons I enjoyed just reading the first omnibus last year. The new modern take on Spider-Man, the kind of tweak to the origin of some of the villains, and just the story that was told. I definitely liked reading this. I wish they came out with an updated version or collected editions on this run, but I was lucky enough to have one of the Geminites send me the deluxe editions so that I could read them, review them, and send them back. Number 6 on the list, I recently did a review of this. This is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Deluxe Editions Year 1, Year 2 Shattered Grid by Boom Studios. I can't say enough about this run. Like I mentioned in my review of those books, it takes everything I loved about Power Rangers, amplifies that, and doesn't put in any of the cheesy, campy stuff. I really enjoyed this, and I wish I was reading the single issues so that I could be up to date, but I'm just really just deluxe edition waiting and reading these. Number 5, Berserk. So I've read the 3 deluxe editions for Berserk so far, and I'm absolutely loving it. And then everyone in the comments is saying, you haven't seen anything yet, just wait till you read the 4th and 5th volumes. So I'm super excited for Berserk in 2020, but I've loved Guts and the whole world that was created for Berserk so far, and I'm nervous going into these other volumes. Number 4 by Brian K. Vaughan. This was Saga. I really enjoyed reading the 3 deluxe editions for Saga that collects the first, 108 issues or something like that. I couldn't get into it when I first read it a couple years ago, and then me and Fee read it together, and I loved it, fell in love with the characters, super big cliffhanger at the end, love Lion Cat, love Marcos and everybody, so definitely excited to see them continue the story. I hear they started writing again so they could finish it, the second half of Saga, and it was up there on my reads this year. Number 3, this was my first Mobius Hordowski read. This was the Inkle, and it was a mind-blowing book. I read it with Fee as well. She loved it. We both loved it. I still have to get the other Hordowski-verse books or Humanoids books, but crazy cyber-futuristic type of story, kind of inspiration for The Matrix and those type of movies. Definitely enjoyed it. It was awesome. Number 2 on the list, The Alan Moore Swamp Thing Absolute Edition, Volume 1. I read this. It's one of the best things I've ever read. I loved the emotion that Alan Moore poured into Swamp Thing, the kind of retcon on his origin and what he is and where he comes from. This was an amazing book with great artwork. I always forget the artist. Who was the artist on this? It was a contender for number 1, but I knew what my number 1 was going to be already. But before we get into that, let's recap the list. So number 10 was Donny Cates' Baby Teeth. Number 9 was Star Wars by Jason Aaron. Number 8 was The Absolute Transmetropolitan. Number 7, Ultimate Spider-Man, the entire run by Bendis. Number 6, Boom Studios' Power Rangers. Number 5 were the Berserk Deluxe editions. Number 4 was Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. Number 3 was the Inkle by Mobius and Hordowski. Number 2, Alan Moore Swamp Thing. And number 1 on my list, my favorite read for 2019, easily, was Robert Kirkman's Invincible. Man, this was an amazing story that had crazy twists and turns, humongous ups and downs. I fell in love with the universe that he built and the characters and their arcs and how much they've changed. It was an amazing story and such a creative superhero book. It's one of the few superhero indie titles that you see, and I loved it. I think everybody should read Invincible. Be careful. The first few issues feel like your typical Peter Parker / Superman type of story, but it ends up getting crazy. I forget how many issues it is total, like over 100. I read it in the 3 library editions and then finished it off with the deluxe editions because they discontinued the library editions. You could pick up the 12 deluxe editions for well below cover price online, and I recommend everybody reads Invincible. All right, guys, that's the top 10 reads for 2019. Let me know what yours were in the comments below. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you leave and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Stay minty fresh. Peace.